Hey, everybody. Got a new little bit of look tonight. So thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for everything that you do for the channel. Trying something new here a little bit. But tonight is going to be just an open chat. We're going to be answering some questions. We don't have a subject or anything like that going on. Hopefully, the storms stay away from us and everything like that from where I'm at right now, and we don't drop anything. So I have a couple of special guests here. You've seen them with us before. And first off, we're going to introduce Jerry from 3DHP. Hello, Jerry.
Hey, how you doing today, buddy?
And doing good, man. And we have also from the other side.
Hi, everyone.
We got Tony from Greedy 3D. And we might have another one or two people drop in here after a while. So thank you guys for spending your evening with us and everything. So guys, what's going on? What's going on with your channels?
I've just been sitting there painting all day long, working on a Cheyenne bust.
Yeah, so let's see what you got there.
Otis Mint. And it's, awesome. I don't know, what is it, 200% scale? I think I sized it up.
So it's probably like half scale?
I don't know. I only know that if a designer calls it 100%, whatever he designs it at is 100%, and I scale it up from there. I've never got into 8 scale, 9, all that. I've never really understood it.
Well, that's looking good, man. That's looking
I got a Peel Poly Forge a couple days ago. They sent me out custom reviews, so that's bigger than my GK2 by Uniformation, my 8K. It's a 6K, but you can't see the quality difference between 6K and 8K.
No, you really can't.
It's just a number. So it's a wonderful machine. Hello, everybody in chat. Tony, you have an awesome channel. I love watching you. I wake up every morning, and if I'm not watching you doing a video you just put out, I'm watching somebody else. So
what's going on, Tony?
For me, I've just finally managed to get Thanos finished and get the video on. That was a labour of love. It's quite surprising how long these things take, don't they? And once you finish the model, then you've got to edit the thing. And it's out anyway, so I've just got it out there. So that's
Tony froze up on us.
Am I back? Am I there?
Let's wait for Tony to come back on.
I can see me. Am I there?
I see him. He's there.
There you are. Okay. Good deal.
So for me, Thanos, I'm at that point now where we all get when we're printing, and I don't know what to do next. There's a whole load of things I want to do, but what do you do next? And it's that.
Right. So everybody in the chat, how's everybody doing this evening? We got Batman Rod Petty. Hello. Donna Fost. Hello. We got Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy? Sweet Tooth. What's up, Sweet Tooth? That's one of my patrons right there. So, Tony, you got a couple of new members in your Patreon, right?
Yeah. It's been a slow burner as I keep saying, but yep, it's starting to pick up. We've got a couple of people. We're having some good chats. We've got a Discord up now, and I just need to get to grips with Discord. That's a whole new world. So once I've got to grips with that, it'll be good. But
good deal. And then Jerry, you don't have a Patreon at the moment, do you?
I had a Patreon. I tried it one time for about 2 months. Had one person on it. It's like I don't have anything to offer anybody, so I dropped it. And I don't have a Discord, but I have a channel on Facebook, 3D Printing and Painting 3DHP. I've had it for like 6 or 7 years. I'm thinking about starting a Discord channel, but I'm retired here in Las Vegas, and it's just so many different things going on. That's just something else that I have to manage and try to take care of. So I don't know if I'll start a Discord or not. And if I can ever find something to offer people, maybe I'll set up a Patreon. That would subsidize my income. It'd be awesome.
Absolutely. So I am currently working on, it's the virtual background. It's because it's kind of a mess in here right now, but I'm working on cleaning up my collection room, and I'm building a new, I'm reorganizing my paint desk and everything like that, my paint area. I'm building a paint booth. I'm kind of in between videos right now. I've got some stuff cooking. I'm actually printing up the second part of the Bad Night for the Ninjas lithograph print that for all of my patrons. I'm doing the Wolverine right now. I've got a lot of stuff printed. I'll show you guys here in a minute. But I'm also just, thinking about some new things for the channel. So that way, Tony, and Jerry, how long it takes to print and paint these things. It takes forever. So kind of looking for some other content to do in between, things like that.
That's why I don't paint much. My wife's like, you don't paint anymore. Yeah, I'm always busy doing something else. But
it takes up
a 5-minute job, is it?
Yeah, it takes up a lot of time.
And I'm hand painting this instead of airbrushing because it's quicker.
Yeah. So let's see. Jeremy here says he is busy printing, finishing off the Doomslayer model from Wicked.
Nice.
And has so many freaking parts. It does. So has anybody have you guys tackled or thought about tackling that whole Lord of the Rings yet thing yet?
No.
Gotta be honest, no, not yet.
Yeah.
Clone Trooper, I've got on the printer right now. I'm printing for the next video.
Yeah, Jeremy just asked, are any of you guys printing a Lord of the Rings diorama from Wicked? Yeah, it's 4 feet wide, and that's at 100% scale. Wow. That's just massive.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's very, very huge.
You have nowhere to put it. I mean, I've been printing for years. When I first got into 3D printing, it's like, wow, I can print big stuff now, and this is so cool. And I bought printer after printer, and I've got boxes in another room, and I got stuff on the shelf, and it's just crazy. Don't print really big; you'll regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now, really. I think we talk about this every time, don't we? Yeah, where's the space gone?
Yeah, Jeremy says he's going to start making it at his work. Oh, he also says he's the one who makes things from carbon fiber. That ought to be cool. Pretty interesting. So, what do you print? What kind of printer do you use to print carbon fiber? Is there specific? I know nothing about carbon fiber.
Are we talking about carbon fiber filament or something different?
I'm not sure. Maybe if it's just the filament, I'm assuming.
Maybe there's a carbon powder type of printer setup out there, but it works with powder, and that's commercial type stuff. But
yeah, that's pretty expensive, though, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife wants to remind everyone that the hashtag for today for me is backlog. Because I'm still swimming through my backlog here.
Yeah, my wife been on a cruise for a week now. She'll probably call me Saturday. Well, she will call me Saturday. So I haven't heard from her in a week. It's been great. So
Jeremy says it's 3D Systems machine. It's powder based. That's awesome.
Okay, yeah, I understand what he's talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
very nice.
Man, I would love to see some of that work on there. Yeah, he says very expensive. Nice being the one to go sets up the machine. So he's got the ultimate job right there, man. That sounds pretty cool to do. So yeah, I mean, nothing else going on, and just printing, working my day job, trying to clean up. I'm on vacation, woohoo! After this week, so I'm going to spend a lot of time getting everything situated and cleaned up. Oh, Cyclops!
Yeah, I printed the base in one piece, 100% scale is what I'm going to call it, on my Peel Poly Forge I just got. The GK2 wouldn't quite fit, so I put it on the Forge and it worked fine. And I started using Lychee. I've been using Cheetahbox for years. I'm familiar with Cheetahbox. I've only been using Lychee for a few days, so I had heavy supports on it, way too many supports. It was a pain, but I need to run a lot of medium supports, not heavy supports, but I'm figuring it out. So anyway, but so far I like Lychee better than Cheetahbox.
Really?
Yeah.
I tried it like once or twice, and I just wasn't very intuitive with me. I mean, a lot of people love it. I guess I'm just so used to Cheetahbox. So
yeah, I'm exactly the same as you, Henry. I've dabbled and gone back to Cheetahbox.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you get used to doing something for so long or whatever, that just if it makes sense, I mean, don't bother messing with it. I mean, so that's just my take on it.
Don't fix it. Compatible with Cheetahbox. It is with Lychee, so that's why I went to Lychee. And then I contacted Lychee and I told them what I do and et cetera, and I got a pro license from them. And that's the same as Cheetahbox. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, that's one thing that's nice about making a lot of content. You can hit people up for little favors here and there occasionally.
Yeah, I got that Frozen Sonic Mega 8K unboxed and everything, and that thing is a monster. Mm-hmm. I hope I can use Cheetahbox with that. There's not much directions with it. I mean, it's just the printer, a little bitty box full of goodies, and the power cable.
It's probably got a PDF or something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Check things.
But it is massive. I posted a couple of pictures on my Facebook page of the build plate. The build plate is just unbelievably huge. I'm not a fan of the multi-hole build plate, with all the perforations and stuff like that in it. So I hope it's not going to become an issue getting stuff off or whatever.
I've seen Uncle Jesse have a few problems with those at the early days.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, once I get it cracking and everything like that, it's all good. So, so Let's see what everybody's commenting on. The only one's commenting is Jeremy. Come on, everybody. We
Well,
got
with
a few
the
people on
holes
here.
in the flex plate, I would say if you didn't like it, you could always put a magnetic flex plate on it. But the problem there is the holes are only on the bottom side. They go all the way through.
They go all the way through.
Because if you have a magnet and a flex plate and they go all the way through, you're still going to get them full of resin on the top. And
Yep.
you can't submerge that in IPA because it'll destroy the glue on the magnet. So,
yeah. So that's that. I was thinking about the same thing, but I kind of looked around and I saw that they didn't recommend that. So,
yeah.
So let's see. Jeremy says he has 2 shorts on his channel so far. It was the Galactus and the Hydra Stomper. I remember seeing that, and he's made about 18 models so far. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
So, what is there's Scott. Scott, how you doing? Eating dinner, watching the stream. Order graphite powder for Gambit. Yeah. So Scott and I were on my Discord today. He's one of my patron members, and he's working on Gambit, and we just chit chatted back and forth like we do on the Discord sometimes. And he's talking about using the graphite powder for Gambit. So I mean, that's I think I was going to say Jerry. I think Jerry did Gambit. I got Gambit sitting up here, but I did not do any graphite powder or anything like that.
On your recommendation, I bought some graphite powder.
Ooh.
This is by Sanix, but the problem is I hit it with a matte finish from a distance, and it dulled out a lot of the graphite powder, and it doesn't quite pop as well as it did.
Yeah. So when I did the Colossus for the video, I did like the arm or the face or whatever like that. I didn't seal it. I didn't need to. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I'm worried about is over time about getting fingerprints on it. So if I get fingerprints on it or whatever, then I'll just have to keep buffing it.
Swords graphite. I did that on Thanos, so that's using that graphite powder. So
okay.
I was really pleased that that's coming out. I love the blood effect.
Have you run into any problems with dust or fingerprints or anything on it?
Not with fingerprints, no. Dust, it creates an absolute chaos, doesn't it, of everything? But no problem. It's really good. It's a great find.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I can't remember which channel I saw it on, but they were using it for cosplay helmets, and I thought, I wonder if you could do that for statues and stuff.
So easy to use. So easy.
I live in Vegas, and dust is a problem here. Obviously, it's all desert, and the only thing you can really do to clean up print or pretty much anything in your house, if it's something like this and it gets real dusty, I'd have to take it out in the garage, take my air compressor from a distance and blow it off, or try to take a little brush and try to wipe it and then blow it. So it'd be a process.
Yeah, I went and I ordered this little vacuum duster blower or whatever like that from Amazon for like $20, and I tell you, it's like a godsend when it comes to cleaning your statues.
Hydra Stomper. I saw that mentioned earlier. I thought I've got to get my Captain Carter down, my favorite all-time model on a Hydra Stomper.
That's not Wicked, is it?
No, I don't think it is Wicked. I've had this for ages. Do you know, I can't tell you where I got it from. But yeah,
it's nice.
It's come out really well. Captain Carter, fantastic.
I think he froze up on us. We're freezing here.
No, I don't see anybody freezing.
There we go. Maybe it's my end then.
Huh? Yeah, I'm not seeing any freezes yet. I bought a new modem and I went to GigaBlast, and then after I did all that, I was still having some video problems. So when on my live stream last week, I had to go into Chrome and delete a bunch of crap because I was freezing. So if anybody sees me freeze or anything happens, let me know. So I think that's all the problem.
Good
but
deal.
As far as for Tony, he looks like he's been fine. Nobody's blinked out.
Okay. So Carlos, is armored Komodo pigments react the same way with sealers? I have no idea. Do you guys have a clue?
Does that sentence come in English? No, I'm not sure. No, I haven't sealed it. Actually, you spoke about it when you used the graphite powder, didn't you? That I haven't used sealer on mine after it's finished, so I'm not quite sure what effect it has on it.
I think I'll go back over with graphite powder and see if I can rub it out and shine it out and then just leave it alone if it'll work. But
well, you can go back. You can go back and just reapply it to it and just buff it out.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. So Jeremy asked if car wax would protect it. I mean, I'm not sure about car wax. That might be a.
You get it in the nooks and crannies. How would you get it out if you're trying to wipe it on? Is a problem.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing about it. Yeah,
if you got a Q-tip and went over little areas, but just not in the cracks and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I think that. That's why I think that basically I'm just going to leave mine alone. So I'm in the process of working on Colossus 2, and I'm not going to seal it or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and just leave it. And if I get some fingerprints on it, I'll just take something and buff it back out. But yeah. So let me show you a little bit here. I haven't cured it yet, but this Wolverine here.
Oh wow,
That's big.
It's a quarter scale, but this is the second part of the Bad Night for the Ninjas diorama that my patrons are going to get. I've actually got all of it printed, but it's a pretty good size. It's going to be nice. Fukando, or whatever his name is, he did a really good job on it. So really, and we got a poll going in the Discord right now. What's going to be next in May that we're going to get him to commission for us. So I'm excited about that one. So let's see who else is in the chats. Anybody have any questions on anything, any comments or anything like that, or anything you guys would like to ask Tony or Jerry? So Randy says, Randy's working on the Lord of the Rings diorama full scale. Gandalf looks amazing. So are you doing the whole entire base, Randy? Or are you doing just the figures, or on there just, I mean, what? Because I know that there was like different display options. That's what I'm curious to see what people are working on, because that thing just looks like humongous. All right, so who else is here? We got about 20 people here, but only a couple of people commenting.
I've got an Optimus Prime here that I'm slowly working on. I printed on my Bamboo Labs and FDM, and it came out beautiful except for the support damage on the bottom side of things. So I'm trying to clean up the support damage on it. So,
is that the Wicked Optimus?
Yeah. Then here's the base to it right here. It came out real good.
Oh, yeah.
And then it has a bunch of rockets that are sitting next to it. I tried to print those out on the Bamboo Labs, and I had failure after failure after failure. So I printed them out in resin twice. And I have, there's the rockets that go on it next to it.
A lot of details in that, so I can understand why you got some failures on it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Here's a good subject. Corey says, what do y'all think on the laser that Elegoo is bringing to Kickstarter on Saturday? So you do some engraving and everything. Jerry, what's your take on it?
I haven't checked into it. I haven't followed up on that particular laser. Everybody wants to get into lasers to make money. So if a company doesn't sell a product that another company has and they see they're making money, they'll come out with their own version of it, but I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, I know Uncle Jesse is doing the live stream or whatever like that for it, and they're going to be giving away prizes and stuff, so it should be pretty interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never used one of the laser bits and pieces, so I'm not au fait on it really.
Yeah, I've had 5 or 6 diode lasers. I've got a K40 laser. I sold all but one of my lasers. I thought I had another one coming out. I wanted to keep 2 diodes, 2 10-watt, and I thought I had one coming in the mail, and that deal fell through. And so in the meantime, I sold my X tool to some people here in town. I'm down to 1 diode at the moment, but I've tinkered with a bunch of them.
I had a company reach out to me, wanted me to do a review of one that they're getting ready to release, and so we'll see what happens. I have no experience with a laser and engraver, so I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure that would be fun to use.
Yeah, it's not a little dangerous.
Yeah, as long as I don't burn a hole through something in the house or whatever. My wife
got a hold of me a few weeks ago. I'm not going to say their name. They're a major company. And they said, hey, we got this laser. We want to try out these 4 products. And then after we chatted back and forth on what I do in my videos, and I said I'd make X amount of few videos for them, they said, we want to send you out the camera for the laser first and review it. And I said, how can I review your camera for light burn if I can't put it on your laser?
Right.
That's the whole point. You have your laser, and then you do another video with the camera going on the laser and working. And anyway,
that's
went nowhere.
That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
All right. So Yasser has a question. Is it better to paint than glue models, or the opposite? That is a very open-ended question. Who do you want to ask that to? I mean, so Jerry, go ahead.
Because I like to make videos and I try to rush to get things done and make a video, I glue everything together except for a model on the base so I can show it off in a video. Now, the perfect way, if you have the time, is to paint everything individually, and then you can glue it together after, because you can't always get in the nooks and crannies in a lot of places if it's glued together. But it depends on the model. You'd have to kind of put it together and say, am I going to be able to paint that? Can I get to this? And one color runs into another. Let's say his shirt is one color and the pants are another. If it's 2 separate models, you can quickly paint both and then glue it together after the fact. In my case, I would rather have it all in one piece. But I will not glue it on the base because then it's harder than hell to try to paint around the base and the feet. So, you know, it all depends on the maker. Now, I know as far as you're concerned, you would rather probably paint everything in pieces and then glue it together, right?
Well, I would rather. It depends on the model, like you said, because if I get a lot of stuff where I'm going to have to fill in cracks and gaps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I want to put it together and then do all that. But I prefer to paint in pieces and then put it all together, and you know, you have a nice looking model.
Yeah, I think
So-
it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? So
Yeah.
for me, I'll look at each model individually. I'll print it off first, put it together, and then decide what I'm going to do. Because you can put certain parts together and paint that, and you can leave certain parts off. But as you've
Right.
quite rightly said, Henry, you know, you pay off ears, you paint it in bits, then you have to join the parts together. And if you join them after you've painted it, unless they're really good files, and Wicked seem to have a really good sort of way of putting the gaps in the right places, but there are times when you're going to have to fill. So I paint it in parts. That's generalistically what I do.
So, like for example, this Craven right here. I mean, the head's removable and stuff, but like, I couldn't really put in pieces here because the back of the mane on this thing was like in sections, and so I had to put it together, fill it, and everything like that. But not only this part, I would rather paint this in pieces and then glue it. But like the legs, the way they did the legs too, they cut them right at the top of the thigh. And of course, there's a lot of texture in there, and you're not going to be able to that's putting this together and then paint it. I would rather put this in pieces, paint this in pieces, because of the whatever the robe or whatever like there, you know. And then I would rather have done it, you know, in sections, got a little bit more into the details and stuff like that. But you kind of work with what you got, you know. I mean, this one here, I'm taking my time with it because I absolutely love this model. This is my favorite one that Wicked's released so far, and I did it big. So, but I really want somebody to do the whole Craven's Last Hunt thing with the Spider-Man coming up out of the ground with the tombstone in front of the tombstone and everything. I really want that model. And I've seen a couple here and there, but they're just not great.
Says, how would you fix the gaps?
So I mean, yeah, it just really depends on who you ask and what model.
Resins. It says, Jeremy says, how would you fix the gaps though? Spot putty, wood filler, resin, and cure it. There's a lot of ways, a lot of things.
Yeah, there's quite a few ways, isn't there? I like to use a little bit of resin in the smaller gaps and a little bit of milliput in the larger ones. It depends on the size of the gam, I think.
So this is the stuff right here. I don't know if you can see it. This is a plastic wood filler. I got this off Amazon. This is the best stuff right here that I could have used. It's so lightweight. It dries in no time. You can fill it and sand it in a matter of 30 minutes to an hour. So that's what I've been filling stuff with, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'll use some wood filler, just plain old wood filler really sometimes. It's just easy and quick and dries quite quickly.
And this is a lot like milliput, epoxy sculpt.
Yep, I got some of that right here.
And I also have milliput I've never used. I bought it years ago, and then I bought epoxy sculpt and buy it off Amazon or a lot of places. Just take a little bit of this piece, roll it up in a ball, do the other one, get the same size. Then
it's
you
like
need
green stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Yeah, you can sculpt it, sand it, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can fill anything, no matter how big it is or small it is. This will work perfect for it.
Yeah, so Sweet Tooth here, he's a sculptor himself, and he's got a good point right here. Fun tack to hold the models together for pictures and then paint individually when you get a chance. So that's what I do. I mean, like if I'm putting together a model and I want to kind of size everything up, and I usually use Loctite or some type of poster putty.
Hot glue would work too.
Yeah, hot glue would work. I used hot glue one time, and it actually peeled the resin off. It like poked a big hole in it.
Okay. When I say hot glue, it's because one of the designers I know has done that, and when he used to sell his models, when he would design them, I've never personally tried hot glue, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, so I mean, I've used it a couple times, but I mean, one time I guess it just got too hot, and it just melted the resin and just.
And I use super glue with the spray activator. I had a lot of people ask me, how do you glue your models together? I use super glue with spray activator.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah. And I said, what happens in a couple of years? Well, I've never really had a problem, but I'm not saying something may not come apart in a couple of years if you drop it. One person had messaged me and they said, well, if it falls on the floor, I said, well, then keep your cat away from your models. So
Right.
Doesn't matter what it's glued with if it falls on the floor. Does it?
yeah,
Or don't piss off your significant others so they're throwing them at you.
yeah. I'll get you back. They run in your hobby room, start breaking stuff.
Oh God, how bad would that be? I had a
Well,
friend
it's
that
just-
happened
it's
once.
No.
just stuff. When you get older, you kind of don't get mad about things anymore.
Yeah, I had a friend that was big into hobby trains, and he had like this whole room set up. It was beautiful, and oh,
Hell
he
hath
got-
no fury.
yeah, he got caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing, and the missus
Mhm.
made him pay for it. So yeah, I love my wife.
Dana Foster, what do you do with the models when you finish them? They're dust collectors.
Yeah, so Dana, we probably have like the same problem everybody else does. We're running out of room. We have nowhere to put stuff. I've actually contemplated, once I get my collection room cleaned up, giving stuff away, some stuff away, because there's just some stuff that I don't care too much for. Now, I mean, I did at the time that I actually did them, but
When you get tired of them, you can always sell them or donate them or give them to a relative. But
yeah.
my grandson came over a few weeks ago and he goes, "Hey, Grandpa," because every time he comes over, I usually give him something. He says, "I really like that Master Chief." I said, "Yeah, and so do I. And no, you can't have it."
So the Master Chief you did a while back. You did it like last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was from Sanix, done that a long time ago. It actually still needs some more work done to it. I tend to paint stuff. When I do paint, I paint so far, and then I get busy in some other project, and it goes on the shelf. It's not finished. But when I done this from Pro to Cement the other day, and it's like, well, I want to see them painted, you guys, or something like that. Well, anyway, I'm getting it painted tonight. So sometime tonight I'll have them done.
Definitely post some pictures of it. I know you're I know you're in my group and stuff like that. So definitely post some pictures in there.
I dropped a couple videos yesterday. I seen that you approved both of them. Because I usually don't do that, but whenever I put a video out on YouTube, I tend to go to certain groups and I drop the video in it.
Yeah, but by all means, you guys are more than welcome to post anything in the group that you want. The more the merrier. That's the way I look at it. I mean, so Rizdam Design, hello. How are you doing, sir? Carlos has another question here. What do you guys recommend for adding shadows? I'm not good enough with an airbrush yet and was trying pastels. Are inks a better option? Tony, go first on this one.
Okay, well, shadows for me. I probably will use the airbrush, depending on what I'm doing. Again, it's all dependent on the model, isn't it? Really, but I will try to do the light coming down will be the lighter colors, and the light going up, I'll do the shadows in an airbrush. Just use an ink or a wash to do that. But generally, or a very watered down black just in the gaps. And I've seen you do very similar, Henry. But shadows, a little bit of a nightmare. But if you tailor it and you start off with black and you work your layers up, the shadows should kind of help. You should be there to start with, so you wouldn't have to do too much on them. But I think that's the way I do it anyway.
Right, Jerry, what do you do?
I don't really have an opinion on that, but I do have chalk pastels. I got a great big set, and you can always sand them down with sandpaper, and you can dry brush with them, or you can take regular paint and almost completely wipe it down to nothing, put it on your skin to where you can barely see it, and then you can shadow and tint and things like that. But
so I've been using these pan pastels right here since high school. There were another company that owned them or whatever, but they're really, really soft. So these go like a long way. I think like one of these palettes right here costs about like $8 or $9.
make yourself bigger and hold it up closer to the camera so we can see
Let's
it better.
see. There we go. So if you guys can see that right there. But I use these. I love them. They're really soft. They give really soft tones and good transitions and stuff like that. So I use those when I don't use the airbrush. And I use chalk pastels like you said. I'm also getting more into oil washes. Those are really cool. I used to use those back in the day with minis and everything and model cars. But my only thing is that I got to do some testing to make sure that I got the proper sealer, because acrylic versus oil can just be can be a headache if you're not careful. So
and then when you're building up layers on eyes or a face or whatever it may be, you need to take a matte clear from a distance very far away and lightly mist it, because when you put on your next layer, if you screw it up, you can wipe it off. If you've done multiple layers and you haven't put any kind of a sealer over top of it, and you go to wipe it off, you go all the way back down to the model and you just screwed up every layer.
Right. So whenever I need to use pastels for something, not an airbrush, but I seal my models in between. Like if I'm painting like something that's just one big giant color, and I have to handle it, I don't want it to get fingerprints and stuff like that. So I'll seal it, and then I'll let it sit for a couple of hours, and I'll go back with it. If I'm doing pastels, I can use the pastels, or like you said, and if I screw up, then I can just take.
How far away do you spray? Just for people that might want to know, what are you about a foot and a half away or so, and just lightly buzz it from a distance? So just
no, I put about 10 inches or so. I put a good wet coat on it. Okay. I don't saturate it really bad or anything like that.
You don't want that chalk to run.
No, I don't have a problem with the chalk running with the sealer I use.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I do is I seal the model, then I go in and then I use the pastels over that once it's sealed, and I can go back in and seal it again. I don't generally have any problems whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I do. I only use chalk to do 5 o'clock shadow and stuff like that, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, I'll seal it. I haven't really had a problem with it. If you don't seal it, it just comes off. But,
Right. And it smudges really bad if you're not careful. Other than that, I use pen washes, for depth and stuff like that into different cracks and crevices, areas of the model, just to bring out some detail, a little bit more vibrancy and everything. And
yeah, washes are pretty good as well, aren't they? I use a lot of the Army Painter washes, and they seem to be really good. And something like the is it Agrax Earthshade from Citadel? I use that a bit as well.
Yeah,
I bought a gold and a chrome pen. I don't have to airbrush my chrome anymore for small things. You can buy chrome pens. They got a plastic tip on them, and the paint runs to the tip. You just shake them up. They look like
I've got some of those.
Those things are really cool. I think I got one right here.
Yeah. So Toons Aquarium says I save all my misprints and practice on those. I try different techniques on them. Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in that. I've mentioned it in a lot of my videos. Never ever throw away a misprint, because that's something you can definitely practice skin tones or washes.
Good for dry brushing as well when you want to get your dry brushing right.
Yeah. Absolutely. So one thing I have been using for a while is I got a whole bunch of these different makeup brushes for dry brushing. I know that we talked in the Discord earlier today about fishnets, like on female sculpts and stuff like that. This is the best thing to use. You're using pastels, like the really soft pastels, and then you're just basically just lightly brushing over them, and it's going to get that where it doesn't sink into the skin part.
It's an amazing effect, isn't it?
It's amazing effect. It works. I mean, I've used it and it just works really, really great. So, but there's all kinds of stuff you can do with those makeup brushes. I mean, look, the women paint themselves up to make themselves look good. I mean, they're obviously doing something right. So
they look good already.
Right. Well, they do. They look beautiful. They just enhance themselves. Is that right?
Get you out of a bit of trouble. Yeah.
But what I tell these guys is, if you want to know how to paint skin tones, talk to your wife, talk to your spouse or whatever, because they're putting on makeup. They know all about foundation. They know all about tone and everything like that. Being serious, man, that's how you learn. And I know a couple of 1/6 scale modelers. That's what they use on their head sculpts and stuff, is they use makeup. And then once they get done with the makeup, they just seal it. Same effect.
Yeah, Joshua, if you want your model to look like a toy, hit it with a high gloss. If you want it to look natural like a real figure, hit it with a matte finish.
Yeah,
right.
I'll go with that.
Hello, Daryl. How you doing, buddy? How's everything going? So Yasser wants to know how many times I could seal a model till it's too much. That's a toughie right there. It's very subjective, because I have sealed a model up to 6 times before I was done, and that's because I did very light coats and in between and everything, and then I put a final coat. I put a pretty good one on it, and I took a hair dryer and I went over it a little bit, and then I just kind of let it set for a good 24 hours to make sure it hardened really good. I'm telling you, this Krylon Color Max that I use is amazing stuff. But it's very subjective. I mean, it's something you're really going to have to kind of work with. I mean, depending on the sealer that you use.
I looked at the Krylon one over here. It was quite expensive.
Yeah, I heard that. I've heard a lot of people say it's pretty expensive over there. It's like $6 a can here in the US.
Like that here. It's a lot more than that.
Yes, but it's amazing stuff. Let's see. So Josh says, how do you go about sealing a model that requires different finishes, gloss, satin, and matte? Good question. You want to take this one, Tony?
Well, hopefully they come in separate parts so you can do them separately. If you've got to do that, it's going to be some kind of masking then, but that's difficult. It's not something I come across very often in one piece, but if it's separate, yeah, absolutely do it separately.
What I generally do is I'll hit it with the matte first, and any glosses I'll put over that with probably by hand brushing or whatever like that. Just because I'm actually contemplating on doing a video about black paint, painting something black, because that's the way to make black stand out other than doing highlights and different shadows and different types of black shades or whatever. But that's a really good way to make your black paint stand out, is the difference between satins, mattes, and gloss varnishes and stuff over it. So, yeah, I mean, you can mask off, but everybody knows that I don't like masking. I can't stand it. So I just hand brush it, thin it out real good, hand brush it, and be done with it. Call it a day. Jerry, any experience on that with you?
No, I usually hit everything with a gloss or a flatter. I've never had one model that required different finishes, but I'd probably try to tape it off if possible. Or you can buy silly putty. Silly putty is another option if something's completely dry. Actually, I was on Amazon a few years ago, and I wanted to order some silly putty, and they had this great deal on a big egg, and I shouldn't have bought it. I got a great big giant egg of silly putty like this big, so I don't know that I'll ever use it.
Did it dry out on you yet?
I haven't checked it in about a year or two. I got to go. It's a big egg of silly putty.
Oh man. My wife says Tony gets bonus points for the comment earlier.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Geez.
Yeah, liquid mask. I've heard about that, but I haven't tried it. But I've seen it used. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
Not very good.
I don't mind it. I think it's got a use. You leave it on too long, it's a nightmare to get off. So the secret for me is to get it on, paint, get it off. Then I don't mind it.
I guess the thing that I use, again, it could be operator error because I see a lot of people use it. I got it into some cracks and crevices and stuff, but I just could not get it out. And then when I finally got it out, it started peeling up the edges of the paint, and that stuff just went to trash. I mean,
I think the secret is get it off as soon as you.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. Even if it's wet, probably just go ahead and just take it off or whatever. It's done
its job and your paint's dry, get it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Non-fam, hello everybody. He said, or hello Jerry. He says so, and he says hi everybody. How are you guys doing? Daryl says glad the weather's finally warming up. I wish it was here. One day, I think yesterday it was like 85, and today it's like 50. And then rain, and we've been having tornadoes and thunderstorms and stuff here. It's just crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Let's see.
Okay. Look how big that is.
That's huge.
Now, I haven't checked it in a couple of years, so everybody gets to see it live.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
Is it fine?
Yeah.
I just remember using that stuff when I was a kid. We took and put it over newspaper.
The comics and stretch.
Yeah.
We use blue tack. I don't know if you have blue tack. It's the same stuff, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Well, now you got it out. You can use it.
Yeah.
Because before it was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We got a question here.
Don't ever straighten anything up. You'll never find it if you move anything.
Yeah, true. To some extent. How do you repair a model when you open it in the slicer and I think it's an incomplete question here. It's red. Yeah, the other part is it's red. So you want to go ahead for this one, Tony?
Well, I was going to say sometimes, it does that sometimes, but when you print it prints fine. So slices are their own little enigma, really, sometimes. But I'm not sure how to answer that one, really.
So I know in Chitu Box they have an option up at the top where there's a repair option. So if you have something I've put something on the slicer before, ran it through, sliced it and everything, and I had this big goofy black triangle that would pop up over it. Where something it's going to print out like that. But I've used that option before up there, and it just automatically helped it and print it or fixed it. But I think you're right. I think the red X or the red on there it'll still print right. It shouldn't be a big deal. Now, if you're printing out of the build volume area and it's red, of course that red part's not going to print. Yeah. Let's see. Sergeant Digital Design. Hey, everyone, just got off work. How are you doing, sir? So here is Joseph says he's had good luck with liquid mask. Like Tony said, get it off as soon as you can. If you leave it on too long, it's a bear to get off. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong.
What's too long? Obviously, you'd want to put it on heavy so you can get it off, but it paints on, right?
Yeah, well, I've left it 24 hours and it was a nightmare to get off. So, that's only one day for me. So okay. I'll put it on. I'll leave it 10, 15 minutes to dry. I'll paint and then I'll let the paint dry. I'll use a hairdryer on it to get the paint to dry really quick. Then I'll get it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe that's what I was doing wrong. Maybe one of these days I'll give it another go, but not anytime soon.
It pulls off like rubber. It pulls off like rubber, right?
Yeah, it's latex. Yeah. It's latex.
It's great. It's like peeling sunburn. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's just latex. It's just supposed to just peel right off and everything.
When it works, it's lovely. Yeah.
I had just such a bad issues with it. So Yasser says, I never knew how to thin a color perfectly for my airbrush. What's the best ratio in thinner? Anybody want to take this one?
Well, I use airbrush paints, so I kind of negate that one a little bit. But I've always done it. If I've done it the other way, I've used some distilled water with it, and I've just run it up the side of the plastic container until it literally just drips off. And then I think it's just trial and error, really.
I always say the consistency of milk. You can use airbrush thinner. You can use distilled water, like Tony's talking about, or you can use clear Windex. Works really good.
Yeah.
You can buy clear Windex. It's cheap. You can get a big bottle of it if they still sell it. Because nowadays it's hard to tell what they still sell. But
well, I think that for me, it depends on like what PSI you're using with your airbrush. I like to keep mine around 30, 35 PSI. If I'm doing some really high detailed stuff, I'll narrow it down to like 20 to 25 PSI. And then I'll thin it even more because if you're pushing more PSI, obviously it's going to go through the needle a little bit easier. So you won't have to thin it as much. But, if you thicken it up, you can thicken it up a little bit at higher PSIs versus lower PSIs. So I think that, you're right. It's something that depending on the paint too, because like I use mainly Vallejo and it just thins out so good. So probably ratio is probably 60-40 most of the time. And when in extreme cases, I really want it to get going on high detailed stuff, I'll do it by probably like 70-30, 70 paint, 30 on thinner. And I usually use airbrush thinner more than I use distilled water because I like my stuff to dry quicker. So if you're using a thinner, it's going to dry quicker. If you're using a water or a distilled water, it's going to take a little bit more time to dry. So it's just really the painter's preference, to be honest with you. But good question. Absolutely good question. Asteroids Fred said, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Watch YouTube videos. If you're not sure about anything, somebody's done a video on it. Just watch
absolutely.
videos. That's how I learned how to airbrush. I watch videos. And it doesn't mean that everybody you're watching is right. Everybody has an opinion, so take notes and you kind of figure it out. Watch 5-6 videos, kind of figure out what you want to do and trial and error.
Yeah, there's a really good channel called Airbrush Asylum on YouTube that those guys they've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of videos. So check those out. They're really good guys over there. They do a lot, just simplistic type things that you can just really just run away with. So that's a good channel to tune into. So let's see. Asteroids Fred said maybe I'm not putting the mask on thick enough. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If it's thicker, it may come off easier. Is that the case with it, Tony? I mean, if it's on thicker, it comes off easier.
No, I think it's just a case of time with it. You can put layer on layer on layer as long as you get it off quick enough, it's fine.
Tony, would you want to grab some scrap or something to show us on camera how it works?
Yeah, I can do. Give me 2 seconds.
Show us what you're doing and then set it down.
Yeah, sure.
A couple minutes later.
It's right behind me. Bear with me.
All right, we get a live tutorial tonight. Woo!
The best way to do it.
Yeah.
I've had people on my live stream on Saturdays. I got a weekly maker hangout. And I've had people on there say, "Oh, well, it's out in the garage. I'll get it for next week." I said, "We can wait. We'll get it now."
Yeah, we got nowhere to be. I mean, let's see. Asteroids Fred said he can't seem to use Chitubox after the last update. His Saturn won't recognize the files. I wish I could help you on this one because I don't have any Saturns right now. I mean, the only thing I have are Anycubic Photon Mono X's, the M3 Max. I've got Lenant. I've got 2 parent printers. I got another one on the way.
Go
I
back.
actually have 3 Lenant printers, so
Go back to a prior version, see if you can uninstall it, get on a Facebook group, ask somebody, and they'll let you know how to do it. My Anycubic Photon Mono X printed perfect for 2 years, and I was using Cheetahbox. And then one day I sliced the file, I put it in the machine, it seen the file name, but there was no picture. There was nothing to print. Drove me bananas. I tried multiple versions of Cheetahbox Pro, the beta, whatever. I couldn't get it to work right. Anycubic sent me out a new control board for the resin printer. I put it in and figured that's got to be the problem. Still have the same problem, and I haven't used the printer in a few months. I've never figured out why it's not working.
yeah.
Like I haven't tried it with Lychee, but now that I'm trying Lychee out for a few days now, I haven't tried to slice file with Lychee and see if that solves it. But for some reason, it just wasn't seeing anything. Only a file name.
Yes. So like Joseph says that Lychee has the option to fix a model. I've heard that too, which is good. So apparently we got some Lychee users on here. Let's see. His Lychee says it can't be repaired. He used 3D Builder, but sometimes it makes it worse. At that point, just take it off the slicer and re-put it back on.
There's Mesh Mixer, which I haven't used, but Mesh Mixer might fix it.
Yeah, Mesh Mixer has some good options in there too. But the problem is once you put that on the slicer, even if it's from Mesh Mixer or something like that, you can still, when you still start to slice it or hollow it or whatever like that, I mean, there's like problems that can arise in it. So that happens sometimes. Oh, so
Liquid Mask, right.
He says Sergeant Digital Design says he uses blue tape to get it off. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Can you make them big full screening?
Let's see here.
Drag him to the top and then hit the fourth button down below.
Let me see here.
No, just drag him with your mouth. There you go. Yeah.
There you go. Right. Okay. So that's what I use, which is the Vallejo liquid mask. Other brands are, of course, available. One of the really important things is to give it a really good shake. If you don't get it all mixed together, you hit problems straight away. So when you've done that, this is what it looks like up close. I don't know what the picture's like here. I don't know. My camera's not brilliant, but I'll put a bit on while we're talking, and I'll come back to it when we finish to peel it off. Literally, you just put it on the model, and it separates or it spreads really, really well. One of the problems you do get with it is as it dries, it goes transparent, so you don't quite know where you've put it on.
So paint it on like paint, don't blob it on.
No, just paint it on like paint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard different stories that works if you blob it on. If it's thicker, then paint it or whatever. I've heard people say use multi-coats or something like that when it dries.
Yeah, and that will do.
I guess it's. Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah. Okay.
You see that in the light? I'm not sure that.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, I'll just leave it sit for 10 minutes or so. We'll peel it off and have a look.
Good deal. Awesome. All right.
And it doesn't ruin your brushes. You can get it off the brushes really well.
Good deal. All right. So let's see here. Let's go back to. There we go. So let's see. Yes. So the person who said something about they're having issues with their Saturn asteroids, Fred, probably do a firmware update. That might help. See if that takes care of things.
What issues are they having with this one?
What was that?
When I updated the firmware on the Anycubic, you have to download 2 files, and then you run the first file just like you're running a print, and then it flashes, and then you run the second file right after. But usually when you download firmware, it tells you what to do. So
Right. So Daryl says, have you guys ever had a file that looks see-through and you can't add supports to it, but certain parts of it still load? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I don't think I've ever run across that.
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Yeah. Asteroids Fred wants to know, how many projects do you guys have going on at a time? I reserve the right to refuse to answer that question because my wife is on the live stream, and the word for today is #backlog. No, typically I should only have one project going on at a time. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree? Because if you start printing a lot of stuff, which we do, I mean, we can't help it. Then you start to lose interest in a project. You just put it off to the side. It doesn't get done. With me, I just, it just winds up in a box for a little while until I decide, oh yeah, I did print that. I need to finish it. So it just really depends. I mean, yeah.
You've got to be careful that the hobby just doesn't become a monotonous one after the other, and you've got piles of things to do, and you need to enjoy it. So I try to just do one model at a time. I might have one printing one and painting one. That's probably the maximum I'll do. I won't try to have lots and lots of things on the
boat. Don't try to race other people on Facebook to get one out first. That gets released. Can I get it printed and done tomorrow and get it painted the next day so I can show off my
That's
picture?
Good advice. Yeah, that's great. That's great advice, because I mean, I know that like when Wicked releases a model or something like that, like the next day everybody's printing this thing. It's like, you got 40 Thanoses out there being printed at one time.
Monkey do, everybody does it, for one reason or another.
Yeah, and I get it. It's exciting.
If you really like it, print it. If it's like, don't. Just print what you like.
Yeah, you're supposed to enjoy what you're doing. You're doing it for yourself as well.
And if your wife wants you to print something to paint it, and print it and paint it. I got a Betty Boop for my wife. Took me 2 years to paint it, but I finally got it painted.
Oh man. No, I'm still working on stuff for my wife. Don't comment, dear. I have a Wednesday Addams model over here. I have to finish up the back of it. And there's another model I'm working with an artist. He can fix a couple of parts on it so I can print it for her. For her friend. It's a water tower. And it's very simplistic, but we have a water tower here in Memphis that's an artist actually painted the whole thing. And it's really, really symbolic with the city and everything like that. So they want her and her kids want a little project to do for each other, with each other of this water tower. So I'm trying to get that thing fixed up and get it all squared away for her. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Pucks is on here. He says, "So you guys print a lot of Wicked 3D models. Do you find their bases are ridiculously large and complex? I love their models, but end up losing interest before I finish printing the base."
I've had a lot of models from a lot of companies that aren't worth printing because there's no detail. There's nothing there. There's nothing fancy about it. So I love to have a highly detailed model. And as an example on Cyclops here, I forget the name of the robot. Somebody help me out here, but that's pretty killer.
Sentinel.
That's amazing. Sentinel. I mean, the rock, it looks awesome. Love it. Beautiful.
I think there's two trains of thoughts on bases from where I sit. One is I do like a detailed base, but sometimes it would be nice to have the option to just have a simple base for what you're doing. But it's not too hard to knock one up yourself, or just to slice the top off the base if there's too much work for you, or if it's going to be too big for where you want to put it. There are ways around it, aren't there?
So when I printed this in resin, the bust, I went to bed the other night and I started to print the base in resin. And it had been going for about 20 minutes. And I said, you know what? Why am I wasting resin on that? That's too simple. So I went in, I stopped the print, and I printed it on my Bambu Labs and filament, FDM. There's no reason to do this in resin at all. It's a complete waste of resin to do this. Even if you hollow it, it's still a waste of resin. So it depends what it is. Some things resin print, some things FDM print. Depends.
Yeah. So like me, I'm kind of like a little indifferent when it comes to bases. Like I love museum posed statues. I just something about it. If it's a striking pose and everything, they're just bold and everything. I love a simple base to it because I want it to basically focus on the character, not the base. Because sometimes bases can just get overwhelming. If it's an action pose or whatever, the more detail on a base, the better. I think, in my opinion. Some bases can get just way out of hand. I mean, like you have a figure this big, but a damn base is like, you know what I mean? They're more base than there is with than the figure. And to me, that just really takes away from it. So it's just my opinion. I mean, it's just a matter, again, it's subjective to people, what they like. Some people love vice versa. But I'll say this, if the model looks badass, that's all I care about. But I'm real more leaning on the museum pose, like the ones that Wicked did of the Avengers. They're just kind of sitting there, just standing there with a simple pose.
Those kind of bases.
Yeah, like that right there. Something simple.
Base.
To me, that was awesome. I like that. It doesn't take away from the presence of the figure, and that's just my preference. So Yasser has a question
about freestanding. You don't even need a base for some models if they'll stand up on their own.
That's true. That's true. Do you guys sell your prints? Is there a good market that makes a good cash, especially the res is not cheap these days? I don't sell my prints. I don't. I keep everything that I print. Resin's cheaper these days than what it used to be. If you haven't checked into the Sunlu resin, definitely go check into that.
Yeah.
It may be different in other countries. I'm not sure. But I don't sell my stuff. Do you guys? What do you?
No, you've only got to look behind, and you can't see in front of me. In front of me, there's probably about 10 times the amount that I'm looking at from behind. So I'll do a few models for friends and and family, but I don't tend to sell. I did try it once. I made one model, and I thought I'll try and sell it, and I sold it. But it's not something I want to do all the time. I think we've spoke about this before, in that I enjoy doing them for me. If you're making them for somebody else, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be absolutely top dog, and it's got to be right for them. And I can't be bothered. So I just make it for me.
I print to keep them. When I get tired of them, I try to sell them. Yes. So, but yeah, I don't get a model and intend on selling it usually when I get it. I mean, it's like it's Indian bust. I love it. I'll keep it for however many years. If I ever get tired of it, if I don't give it to somebody, a family member, then I'll put it on my Etsy store and try to sell it. But I don't print it with intentions of selling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's. I've kind of touched I've touched a little bit on commissions and stuff like that. I just don't. I'm not into that sort of thing. I mean, I basically work 2 full-time jobs. I work my day job and I work the YouTube thing, and that takes up a lot of time. Tony, Jerry. I mean, when you're doing YouTube and you're filming videos and stuff like that, and painting stuff and printing stuff, it takes up a lot of time. So I don't do commissions for. That's one of the many reasons why I don't. But no, I print what I want and I want what I print. I mean, that's basically the way I roll with that. If I decide that I don't want that piece anymore, you know what? I got the file. I can print it later if I find interest again, and I'll just give it away. I mean, that's just something I'll do. There's probably about 10 or 15 pieces once I get my collection room up that I'm just going to give away.
Someday your wife's going to want a bigger house, and she's going to go, honey, how about everything in that room? That's our down payment right there. And you're going to say, okay. And anyway, that's another sort of discussion, but anyway.
Jerry, you have a visitor. You have a visitor down there next to you.
Oh, hey, hey, she wants a cracker.
Oh.
Like, Daddy, give me a cracker.
I'm gonna be a star, Daddy.
Here's Sandy.
Oh, there you go.
2 girls.
Hey,
my 2 are fast asleep in bed. Thank you.
My wife is cooing right now. She loves dogs.
Oh yeah, got
I
my
love
2 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sleep with me at night on the other side of the bed.
That's good.
Yeah, my 2 are in bed at the moment. Fast asleep.
My wife has a master bedroom, and I sleep in a different room.
Cyclops. Which one do you mean? Do you mean that one?
Is that a Judge Dredd?
That's a Judge Dredd. Done that for my friend who was my best man. Yeah, asked me to do a Judge Dredd, so that's that one. Quite pleased how that's came out.
I'm trying to get you up there so people can see it a little bit better.
I used to have that. I know the designer, but I can't think of his name.
That's nice.
I did that a long time ago, and I think I wound up throwing it away. So I had a bunch of models.
Yeah, it's amazing. We take it so much for granted, don't we? But my mate is well into Judge Dredd. I mean, he goes to cosplays dressed as Judge Dredd, and to actually get a model, he's looking at paying a fortune. Well,
Right. Yeah. I love Judge Dredd. I hated the movie, but I love the comics were just amazing. And I don't know if you guys remember a character called Faust. It was an independent comic from years and years ago. I want a model of Faust. He's kind of like a cross between Wolverine and he's got like a cape and all this other stuff. He's kind of like between Spawn and Wolverine. I think he's got a little bit of who am I trying to think of? A little bit of Hawkeye in there a little bit, but a good character. Look him up. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the guy's name. It was an adult comic, but that's a good character too. I remember those old comics back from the day, and man, I love those independents.
Adult comics in the UK probably means a completely different thing.
And I don't like printing a model that's got a cape. I don't like capes. Capes are a pain. They take a lot of filament or resin. They're I don't like capes.
Yeah, they can be a pain. Let's see. Anybody else does?
And if they're not designed right, they're really thick, and yeah.
So Gary wants to know. He says he has trouble mixing paint for blonde hair. Any tips?
Ooh, right.
Hair.
I like skeleton bone as a base color with pallid bone over the top, which is a speed paint. I think that gives a really good blonde effect. I did Daenerys from Game of Thrones, and it just looked great. Worked. It was an experiment, and it worked out really well. So that's what I do.
Hold on one second, guys. I apparently unplugged my computer here.
That's a good video for you, Tony. Grab a bunch of paints and do a video series on if you guys are looking for this color, this color, this color, here's what I do. And then,
Yeah, it's not. It is good. Yeah, well, hair's a bit of a nightmare sometimes, but that's how I do blonde.
YouTube Shorts, but that even work on your phone. YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. I'm like you, Tony. I think like some of those speed paints work really good. I like to add a little bit of. I might add a little bit of baking soda to some paint to thicken it up a little bit whenever I'm doing some dry brushing for blonde paint, for blonde hair or whatever like that, just to make, because I hate adding several thin coats when it comes to that, especially for light colors. So
never heard of baking soda in paint before.
Yeah, you can thicken it up a little bit, very little. You can also use baby powder, but you got to be careful with baby powder because it goops up really, really nasty. So if you're not careful, it can be a nightmare. So I told you my wife was all about the dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike has corgis. So Mike, I've seen some of Mike's dogs. He's got some corgis in his house. So,
I've got cockapoos. Lovely
cockapoos. All right. Let's see. So Daryl says, yeah, he likes that more comic style version of that one. So yeah. Let's see here. The Daryl says, 100% agree with Jerry. I've done one cape for Batman and a trench coat for Selene from Underworld, cut into multiple parts, and they're a pain to put back together.
Whenever I can avoid capes, I avoid them. I mean, when I did my son's Spawn at 250, 275%, had this monstrous cape that hangs off the back, and I put a Magnum on it. Because it was so big, it was hard to get it to stay in position. I don't like capes. So
yeah, I think avoid them. The one thing that I have found is, and I've done a couple of videos about printing on flat surfaces. So print at don't print where the conjoining pieces are. It makes it so much easier to put together and fill and everything else. But capes are just, I think that's everybody's nightmare when it comes to printing and stuff. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. So Mike wants to know, does the Indian have a tear going down his face? That's that kind of famous old picture of the Indian with the. You remember that commercial back from the 70s when they did that? They did it like during cartoons and stuff on Saturday mornings. They talked about how the planes and stuff were trash. It was like litter, talking about littering up.
That shows an American Indian where he's like crying because we trashed his country because they were here before we were.
Yeah. Let's see. So Sunlu's awesome for the price they sell it for. Yes, it is.
I found it. I'll put a link on as well. £12 for a kilogram. I'm not sure that works out in dollars, but £12 for a kilogram is fab. Fantastic price.
Right. So
I've printed a lot of Sunlu recently. Before this video I just did on the Janhe that I'm currently printing with. Yeah, Sunlu's great resin.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think I said it earlier in my live stream or my Discord or whatever. I ordered some, and I ordered a gray and I forgot I ordered some black resin too. So I was like adding resin to earlier into the Uniformation GK2, and I was like, oh crap, it's black. So now it got like this really, really dark gray resin. It looks very cool. So I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see what it looks like when it's all printed. It's actually printing behind me. You can probably hear it in the background a little bit. But yeah, I love that printer. Oh my god, I love that printer. It's an amazing printer. Consistent prints all day long. So I managed to fit this one. This is a base. That's all one piece.
Wow.
And I got that on the GK2. Believe it or not, I orientated the hell out of this thing to get that, and it's got some really, really nice details on it. But it's for an Agent Venom. It's for an Agent Venom that I'm working on. So yeah, turned out really, really good. The Wolverine here that I did, I just got some of these off the build plate a little earlier, and they're still drying from the. But that's one of the claws. I mean, it got the points on it. I mean, it's just really nice, straight. The textures in the hand and everything.
Yeah, they hurt when you run into them because I broke a few models. I broke off. They're getting stabbed by them. Yeah, they hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's done really, really good. I've done, let me see here. Yeah, I did a couple of Wolverine heads. So when I start with a model, I start with the head first because I want to know what I'm getting into. So I did 2 of the Wolverine heads, and they actually turned out really nice.
Beautiful.
I broke the tooth off of one, so I've got another one I can use. But good details and everything. That's an awesome printer if anybody's interested in.
Expensive, Henry.
If you size the model in resin, always drop in your slicer, the base, the arms, the legs, head, to see if everything fits before you jump into it.
Yeah. It is a little pricey. I think it's $8.99 for that printer, and I think they've got maybe some discount codes you can add it through Amazon or whatever. That's the only drawback. The only other thing that I'll say about that printer is it's too damn loud. I mean, those fans are just pretty loud compared to like the Lenant printers. You can't even hear them being on. The only thing you can hear is the when it goes up and down, just very little. But they have these internal fans that are just, you have to check them every so often to make sure they're running. So I wish if the Uniformation does that on that GK2 and gets the price down a little bit, they got a winner on their hands. They really do. That's a very good printer. You got that one, don't you, Jerry?
The what? Yeah, the GK2. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
The heaters are what you hear running when you close the lid. Those are the heaters running in the back. It has the heaters in it. Then the new version they just came out with update, the heater's underneath the bed. That's why you don't see a heater when you open it up.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's a really good printer. Let's see. How is the Mighty 8? The Mighty 8K? I don't know. Do you have that? Do you guys have the Mighty 8, the frozen Mighty 8? I have the Mega 8.
That's probably what you're talking about.
I haven't printed anything on it yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I got to get it set up. It's probably going to take me and my wife to pick this thing up and put it on the table. It's heavy as hell. Mm-hmm. But the build plate is just massive.
The Peel Poly Forge I got a few days ago. I had contacted them around a year ago. They never got back with me because, you send them your channel link and you tell them what you want to do for them, a company, and then they either get back with you, they don't, or they say, no, we're not interested.
Right.
Well, nothing happened. Then Tom Sandlandler, if I can say his name right, was doing a video, and he mentioned those are on sale right now, rendered for like $960. So I went and looked at them online. I was like, man, I really don't want to max out a credit card. Let me contact him again. So I emailed them again. They got back with me, said, hey, we like your channel. Sure, we'll send you one. I'm like, cool, finally. So, yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I found out is if you reach out to these people, reach out to these companies and stuff, and some of these groups and everything, they're willing to work with you. Like the Mia from Uniformation, she's been absolutely just wonderful in helping me with, doing the reviews and stuff like that. I've got the wash and cure station from them as well that I'm going to be reviewing pretty soon. And I have another wash and cure station. I can't pronounce the name of the company. It's like Ebios or something like that, but it is an all-in-one. So you put the pieces in. It will wash air dry and cure your pieces without even taking them out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty small though. That's the only drawback. So it'll actually wash. It'll bring in the chemicals, the IPA to wash it. It'll suck it back out into a reservoir, and then it'll actually air dry. It has an air dry mechanism, and then the UV light will come on.
What could go wrong?
So
I've got an ultrasonic cleaner, and whenever you haul a model or a base, if you go straight to IPA, which is expensive, you will trash it in a couple months because all that extra wet resin gets in there, kills IPA.
yeah,
But if you pre-wash it in mean green or some other kind of I have an ultrasonic cleaner. I try to pre-wash when I can. That way I get all that extra resin out before I throw it in the IPA.
I don't use IPA. I use denatured alcohol. For me, it's a good cleaner. It lasts a lot longer. It dries real quickly and stuff, and it gets a lot of that. You guys probably know, like when you take something off a build plate, every now and then there's that little funky residue, that little film that's on it. It gets that off pretty easy. I still go through with a toothbrush and scrub it, but it's for me, it just does a lot. And plus, it's $20 a gallon versus like IPA is ridiculous right here, right now. So I mean, it just really kind of depends on what's available. But I've been using it for a couple of years now, and I love it.
I just went from 70% to 92%. I seen a deal on Walmart's website, so I bought 10 bottles.
Yeah, is it fairly priced or is it expensive?
Yeah, they're still like $4 a piece, $3 to $4 a bottle.
Yeah, I've just bought 5 litres for £20 of IPA, so it's not horrendous.
Okay, good deal. Puck says he's looking to buy a second printer. He currently has two Saturn 2, and I'm looking at a Uniformation GK2.
Hey,
Where I
bud.
live, the GK2 is $200 more expensive. Do I get the GK2 or another Saturn 2? I'm not a Saturn user, so I can't answer this question. Or any of you guys a Saturn?
I've only had
Yeah.
the original Elegoo Mars, never had the Saturn. GK2
I've got 2 Saturns, yeah, and I love the Saturns. I really, really do. I've not done much about the GK2, but the Saturns are workhorses. They've never really let me down, and that's all I can say about Saturns. Really, it's a case of they've proved themselves in my man cave anyway by working relentlessly and working really well.
A lot of people love them. I mean, they're a lot of go-tos for people. Like I got Anycubic Photon Mono X's. I got a couple of those, the old school ones. And man, those things they both need screens right now.
Yeah.
But because I just wore the hell out of them. But I probably got about a good 5,000 hours print time on one and about 4,000 on the other. And they're still. I mean, I've had to replace the screens a couple of times, and of course FEPs. But man, they're still just kicking.
I did have a Mono X, and it failed on me. I didn't get along with it when it was producing really, really well, but it just wouldn't start one morning, and it went bang.
The only thing I've ever replaced screens in 3 times was my original Elegoo Mars. My Anycubic Photon Mono X has done most of my prints. I've never replaced a screen on it, but right now, like I said, it's not working. It ain't reading my files, but I've never replaced a screen on my bigger printers yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've replaced some screens. I haven't had to do any of the Lenance yet, and I've printed a lot of stuff on them. I'm surprised that those screens have been holding up. I have the original base, I have the base 8K, and I have the deck. And the deck I have replaced probably 15 FEPs because I mean these printers run. I mean, up until a couple weeks ago, they were running 24/7. So I mean, I was printing like just a wazoo amount of stuff. But I can't believe that they have not the screens haven't given out yet. So, I
will be changing one of the screens actually on the Saturn. My own fault for not putting a screen protector on it and getting resin on there and trying to scratch it off. And it doesn't need changing desperately, but I want to do it just for experience, really.
Right? Yeah. So Chuck Rodriguez says, "What colors do you prefer to airbrush versus paintbrush?" Ooh.
Gold for sure. So any metallics, I'd rather airbrush.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have one gold that I use that I prefer to paint handbrush, and it's actually it's a really weird color, it's a really weird brand. It's Liquid Leaf, and I've got it from Plaid Enterprises, who makes the craft paint, and it's this stuff right here. You can see it. I got it from Michaels. And this stuff here is like $5 or $6. Do not airbrush it. It looks like crap. Hand brush it. It's amazing. You won't have any type of lining or anything like that in it. Any type of buildup. It's almost self-leveling. It's so good. I mean, but I love that gold. That's the only gold I really use.
I think white as well. I try to airbrush white.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare on a brush.
Oh yeah, trying to brush it. Oh geez.
You put on layer after layer after layer, and you can still see through it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say any light colors I prefer to airbrush. I love hand brushing black and dark grays. I don't get any lines or anything like that in. I just love how they just flow and cover and stuff. Tamiya has an amazing black. I mean, I love their black. It goes on. It's self-leveling. It's so smooth. It looks better than any airbrush you could ever do. So yeah,
I do put a bit of flow improver in there sometimes into the painted ones.
Yeah,
just helps it along.
Let's see here. So Asteroids wants to know which printer has the lowest exposure time on it. That's all up to you. I mean, you could put as low as an exposure time on there if you want. It doesn't mean your print's going to turn out right. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of an open-ended thing right there. It just really depends.
Depends on your resin, depends on your temperature, depends on your humidity. There's lots of things in there.
Yeah. So what I'll say is look at the suggested settings and stuff like that from the resin that you use and kind of go from there. Hey, Bud. Bud says, hey, y'all.
I recognize that name, Bud. Hey, Bud.
So Sergeant here says to go to an ale supply store and get a gallon for $13, and that's IPA. Interesting. Okay. Mike says he just got 4 gallons for $100 off Amazon, 91% IPA. Yeah, that's about right. It's about $25 a gallon. So that's not too bad, not too shabby.
Underneath all those ads, it always tells you how many ounces, how many cents per ounce, and kind of compare that, see where you're getting the best deal at.
My wife does that at the grocery store. If she sees something in bulk or whatever like that, she's looking at the little tag, how much it costs per ounce or serving or whatever like that. So yeah. Let's see here. Yasser says, how do I know that it's time to change the screen? What are the issues I start seeing? Yeah. Tony, you want to give him on that one?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. It depends on, has the screen gone, or have you just got so much resin on it because you haven't had a screen protector that it's starting to not show it through? You'll find you'll get areas of the print that just will not print no matter what you do. Now, it could be the screen's gone itself and one of the pixels has gone, or a bunch of the pixels has gone, or it could be the light's just not getting through. But you'll just get something not printing in the same place each time, and that's your main sort of indicator. Or you'll get poor prints, you'll get really low detail because the light's just not getting through. Time to change it at that time.
Yeah, your print will look like it's somebody got it with a buckshot. It'll have
holes in your models, or it might look like somebody took a hot knife and ran right through part of it. Yeah.
So if you ever start having that, just do an exposure test and you start seeing dead pixels with black spots and stuff on the screen, that's time to change it. Don't try and save it. You're not going to help it. Put it out to pastures.
And always put a screen protector on it. And when you buy a resin printer and it says pull here, be careful what you're pulling off on that screen. You want a screen protector because everybody at one point or another gets a hole in their vat and they will get resin on it. Sometimes you can take a double-sided razor blade and barely scrape it off. Sometimes you can't.
I always have plastic razor blades on me. But what I can tell you is like the GK2 and the Lenant printers and stuff have a glass screen, so it makes it so much easier. I did have a pinhole in the Lenant deck the other last week, and man, it leaked some resin off of there, and I was like, oh shit. So, and then I used a regular razor blade and just scraped it right off. It didn't mess up the screen at all. I love that glass top. Oh man. So yeah.
Too, when I got it and I reviewed it, the FEP was paper thin, and within a week I replaced the FEP like 3 times. And I've resin printed for a long time with many printers, so I went ahead, I got on Amazon. I can't think of the name of the company, but I bought some FEP from a different company with screen protectors in bulk. Or actually, once they realized I'm a member of your group, they sent me a bunch, but it wasn't designed for the GK2, but I had to cut it down and make it work and use Kapton tape. And the only thing I don't like about the GK2, you drop the bed down, you lock it in place by sliding it back. And because I'm using Kapton tape and a different screen protector, anyway, it's a long story, but I wish
it'll crinkle that screen protector. I know what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, so my issue with the thing is that the vat slides and locks into place. Over time, that thing is going to wear out.
Well, right now, when I slide mine, lock it into place, I can get it in and out. Every time it lifts the suction, it picks the vat up just barely and drops it. Picks it up, drops it. Picks it up, drops it. It doesn't lock really tight, and I have no way of tightening it down. And I haven't even found a way to put duct tape on it to hold it down because it lifts and drops it. And I do use what do you call it? Rain-X. I put Rain-X on my FEP and I wipe it into blue shop towel. It helps to relieve some of the suction problem. But currently on the GK2, every time it picks up, it's lifting up the bat and drops it. Lifts it and drops it.
Wow.
It's not locking in tight. It's got a slight bit of play in it.
Yeah, see, that was one of the concerns I had in my review because those tabs on the bottom actually are probably wearing off and they're not locking. And Mia, who's the rep, said that they were going to look into fixing that. So I'm not supposed to talk about it, but they do have something. They do have something coming up pretty soon that's really cool, I think. So you guys will really dig that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her in a while. I'll contact her and ask her about that particular problem, see what she says.
Yeah, she had said something about they may offer like a file where you can 3D print those tabs, but I still think that with PLA, it's still going to be pretty flimsy and it's not going to lock in place correctly. So
yeah,
so maybe they'll make spare parts for them. If they do, that'll be great. So let's see, Raging Mondo, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing? So MMQ says, how often you replace a FEP film, a FEP film? Again, it's kind of subjective, really, to be honest with you. I mean, it depends on what you're printing, how often you're printing, I would say I probably realistically get about 25 to 35 prints out of mine before they start kind of getting dented up pretty good. What about you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends how much you use it as well, and what kind of print you put on it. You don't want large prints will damage it more than small ones potentially. But I tend to leave it alone until it starts giving me problems, and then I'll change it. And it's subjective. Sometimes I've changed it after 10, 15 prints. Other times it's still 30, 40.
Yeah,
yep.
I typically dial down my support settings, my support density, for that very reason, to make my FEP last a little longer. So that does two things for me. And I'm not recommending everybody just go out and do that, because if you don't put enough supports on something, you're going to get a failed print. But I've kind of got it to the point to where on mine, it saves it, the FEP probably another 2 to 3 prints longer average, I'm guessing, because it just does not put all that, pressure on the FEP film. So,
and I hate changing FEPs. I wish someone had come up with an easier way of changing the FEP screen. It's one of my pet hates. So, it's one of those things I'll leave as long as I can get away with it.
When I used to have failed prints, you take out the bed, you drain the resin, scrape it out, and then you take your hand on the back side and you kind of pop the bad spot that stuck to the FEP loose and then throw it away. Well, it's much easier. If you see you got a failure, before you even touch the resin, don't stir it up. You clean the vat where for 15, 20 seconds, it lights up the whole vat, everything on the bottom layer that hasn't been disturbed, and then you peel it up and then throw the whole thing away, or take out the vat, tip it, and then peel it out that way. That's the best way to do it, to have less damage to the FEP. And if you get a minor rip in it, you don't have any more FEP laying around, grab some clear tape, put some packing tape on that little tiny crack, and keep printing and order some off Amazon. Because in a pinch, clear packing tape will save the bottom side of the FEP if you got a little leak in it.
Yeah, it'll give you a little leeway until you're able to get some FEP in. So yeah. Let's see who else is on. Yeah, Mike says he does a tank clean. Same thing. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Most of your printers now have that option on there, and it's just a lifesaver, man. Save those supports and stuff like that. Stick them in one end. You can have some. Peel it out of there. Let's see. Gary wants to know curing time. How do you know what is long enough?
I do everything for about 10 minutes, no matter what it is. I pre-wash for 10 minutes, and IPA. Then if it's a hollowed part, I take it out in the garage. I blow it out with an air compressor if I want to cure it right away. Get it completely dry, 100%. Then I bring it and I throw it in my UV light for 10 minutes. And then you have to turn it over and do the bottom. If it won't fit, take it outside, throw it in a chair in the sun for 10 minutes, flip it over 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'm about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on it. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh man, that if you cure it for too long, it's just gonna just mess up. It's gonna warp. It's gonna split." I've never had that problem.
No,
I actually I've left a piece on the light for like a day and didn't realize it, and come back and it was fine. So it just really depends on. I think a lot of it depends on the resin that you use. Plus, if you're cleaning the inside of it out good enough, because I have seen where people hollow out their model and they don't hollow it out very good. They're doing it like 3 and 4 millimeters thick, which is pretty thick for a hollowed model.
And there's resin in it, and then it blows up like Alien's baby.
Yeah, so that I print mine in 1.5 to 1.8 millimeter religiously. It's light. It saves resin. I don't do any type of support infill other than just a grid infill from Chitubox. And that's at like 5%. And that's basically just to help support everything. That way it doesn't warp when it goes up and down on the FEP on the build plate. But yeah, I mean, this whole hobby is trial and error, man.
Yeah,
it really
people do
is.
it differently, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's whatever works for you, keep doing it, Let's see. Oh, we got somebody here. Andre, hello, greetings from Brazil. Do you think there is such a big difference between FEP and NFEP film? Well,
I haven't seen a huge difference, to be honest.
I haven't either. Not really. When it comes to FEP, to be honest with you, I get what's the cheapest. I do. I mean, because there's a few companies that I use to get FEP from. Then there's some other ones. I look at reviews. I do. I look at reviews on Amazon or something like that. If it's got some horrendous reviews, I just keep going. But luckily, I was graced enough that Lynette sent me 500 sheets of FEP.
Oh, you're all right then.
I'm good for a while. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have a thick thing over here. It's like that thick of stacked FEP.
Wow.
So they hooked me up with a bunch of stuff. So I haven't had to buy any in quite a while.
Mach 5 on Amazon.
Yeah, I've used that one before. That one's a good one.
Yeah, for the GK2, EPAX X10 is because they don't have one for the GK2, but you can buy EPAX X10 and cut it down a little bit, and you can make it work.
Yeah.
And on the screen protector, like GK2 for like $45, they had their FEP plus screen protector. I felt they wanted too much for what they had, and I didn't like their FEP. I thought it was too thin. I forget how many mils it was, but it was too thin. It was getting tore up too easy, so I went with a thicker FEP from an alternate company, and then I had to cut it down and use Kapton tape because it doesn't have the adhesive already built on it like their FEP does. So trial and error, like you said, trial and error on anything you do.
Yeah. So
we all learn from each other. None of us are experts. We just know what we know, and we learn from people. And
be a sponge. Soak up every single thing that you run across, whether it's good or bad. If it's the bad stuff, that just means you know not to do it. Let's see. Mike says, "Who do you guys watch on YouTube and can't say each other?" Oh, I think he was probably talking about what I was talking about earlier. Maybe. It's just a product that's coming out that I was sworn to secrecy not to talk about. So, yeah, we won't. It's he who shall not be named. So yeah. Let's see. Here's a good question. Does anyone get that roll of FEP that you cut down to size? I tried that and it was horrible. It kept curling on me and stuff. Have you guys ever used any of that?
Never used it. No, didn't even know you could get it, to be honest.
Yeah, it comes in a roll, almost like on a paper towel roll sort of thing, and it's rolled pretty tight. So when you unroll it, it still curls. So when you're trying to put that stuff on, it wants to curl on you still. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's my extra FEP that came with the printer I have now. The Pia Poly Forge has a extra roll. At some point, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Let me find those pictures Bud's talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, Bud had messaged me on my video. He's having trouble with some of his resin prints. I think it's on the Max, wasn't it, Bud? He's having a lot of line issues with it, and he can't figure it out. I'm going to show you the pictures if I can find them.
On the M3 Max?
I believe that's what it was. Let's see.
Yeah, I had so much problems with that printer, and I just now finally got it to where it will print. And I still have some failures out of it. I'm printing a huge, massive piece of this Wolverine base, and this thing is it failed on me once, and it's because I think that I just didn't have it orientated right. I was trying to do straight up. It was a wide piece, and I just wanted to do it straight up, and I didn't angle it or anything like that. So that's probably my issue or my fault right there. So
he's having texture, and his prints look like fingerprints, basically.
Wow.
And
he says the Saturn Max.
Let's see. Let me find the next picture here.
I'm not sure on that one. That is I don't think that's something I've ran across. I know typically, like on some of these, like the Max and stuff like that, if you're getting a lot of lines in them, if you're adding resin to it while it's running, that can cause some shifting or some lines. But
on big prints, you have to add resin or you'll run out overnight. So you
right.
dump that and it runs in.
Yeah. So I know on the Max it has that resin or that reservoir in the back that drips it in there slowly. The problem is temperature shifting because these printers do heat up. I mean, at least some. And they okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of a common issue, I think.
You go to the next one.
Oh yeah, Tony, did you forget about the liquid mask?
It's still here drying. It's not very warm in here, so it's taking a while to dry.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll come back to it in a bit. Yeah.
Yasser asked about that.
Yeah.
Now I thought this originally was layer lines, but they're not parallel. So
no, they're not layer lines.
That's kind of odd.
That's not from any shifting. That's a file issue. Yeah, I can't tell from
it on this.
Yeah, I can't tell from that one. The other one looks like it might be just a file issue that's causing that swirl.
Anybody in chat have an opinion? Please let Bud know.
Yeah.
He messaged me on my video, and I looked at it, and I said I didn't really have a clue, so I mentioned get a hold of the company and or ask in the Facebook groups. But
is it every print, and has he changed his resin? Has he changed his settings? Or is he doing it with every print? That's what I'd ask.
Yeah, he's saying every print, but I thought he told me originally he wasn't having this trouble. Isn't that right, Bud?
So if it's every print,
now I'll see this in FDM on the top of a model where it's starting to wind down. You'll get layer lines.
Right. The only thing I can do is like maybe process of elimination on that. I would probably switch out the zip drive, the flash drive. Because, a lot of times when they have those, when they send those flash drives with the printers and stuff, they're garbage. I mean, I take and throw them away right off the bat, and I just order some off Amazon to use because they'll fail on you most of the time. But I would try that. I would do a firmware update.
Grease the rods as well.
Yeah, I would probably, I was going to say probably that Z-axis, I would probably lubricate it, see if that, see if those things help. So yeah, that's weird. That's if anybody knows about that one, by all means, let us know so we can help Bud out. Let's see. MMQ says for prints, is it okay to print right on the plate or always a 45 degree? So my take on this is if you print it directly on the plate, you're going to have issues with suction. And that, how with the Mars or whatever like that, they painted the Rook or whatever. The Rook is a little different because it's a bigger piece that gets smaller. So there's no vertical suction on it or anything. So that's why you can print that directly onto the build plate. Plus it's a solid piece. if you're going to have a hollow piece in there, print it flat on the plate or whatever like that, the suction from that thing is just going to make it just snap off this, off the FEP, and it's going to fail.
I always angle it.
Yeah, I usually always angle it of some sort. So let's see. Mike says, "Hey, Greedy, on your Elegoo printers, does your build plates start spinning after a while?"
I've definitely not not had that happen to mine. No.
Oh, that's because they have the central.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've not experienced it at all. No, not on mine. And I've had the original Saturn now a year, and it's not come close to doing anything like that. So
yeah, my original Mars, once it was tight, it was tight. I never had to re-level it ever.
Okay, good deal. I think I've seen some people having issues with that, where they'll try and print something and the thing will just buckle or something.
Now, when I used to remove my prints on that, like with any prints, if you start getting in there really chopping at it and you're smacking stuff around, you tend to move things. And if you didn't snug it up tight enough, because maybe you're not as strong as you think you are, then it might move on you, and that could be a problem too.
Yeah. I look at it this way: if you are having issues getting stuff off of the build plate where you almost feel like you have to sandblast it off, check your exposure settings.
Yeah, in the early days, I've been there with a hammer. I think on the original Saturn just because of that, really.
I think in the first Elegoo Mars that I got, I think I cranked my bottom exposure settings up to like 60 or 80 or something.
Whoops.
And I didn't know any better. So like my first print, I was like, yes, it printed just fine. And I had to practically tear the thing up in order to get it off of there.
I knackered my FEP in the early days.
In a slicer, whatever company, whatever printer I'm printing on, I use a stock slice settings. The only thing I ever change will be the end peel density. I usually go to 75, 80%. I set I don't screw with all the different layers and settings. And I've never, ever done a test print where you print out the little thing and it's got all the little layers on it, just like on temperature tower you do on an FDM printer. The same type of thing you can do a exposure test on a resin printer. I've never done one. I just load up a file and print with it.
Right. So MM Crew says, what calibration tool do you guys use for large model calibrations?
I just calibrate it and I don't think it makes a difference for whether I do large or small. No. I just calibrate each resin and away I go.
All you're basically doing is just trying to get your initial exposures down to where, because it's not going to matter whether it's large or small print. You can overexpose any large print as well as you can a small print, so it really doesn't matter. I just try to do something initially when I first set up the printer, and I just use those little calibration towers and stuff like that. That's good enough for me.
I've heard if you're doing large prints, you put it up by 10%, but I've not done that, and it just works fine.
I haven't either. So, and mine works fine. There's some people on here trying to help Bud out. That's good. So hopefully we can get you squared away there, Bud. Let's see. Found this link online. Yeah, so there's Chuck.
What I hate is online if you're on Facebook or Twitter and you have a problem and it's driving you nuts. So you ask a question and nobody answers you, but they'll give you thumbs ups as they scroll by.
Oh yeah. Some people they just don't know, and I love the people that think they know everything and they really don't. Those are fun in some of those groups. Some of those Facebook groups, man, are toxic as hell.
Oh, terrible. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like it's a bad audience.
If I have anything toxic on my personal group, 3D HP, 3D printing and painting, you're gone.
Yeah, it's that, and I don't do that. Everybody's on a level playing field when it comes to printing and painting, as far as I'm concerned. We have fun doing what we're doing. We enjoy it. Some people may be a little bit more skilled than others, and that's perfectly fine. But you're doing it for yourself, or you're doing it for someone else or whatever like that. It's like you said earlier, Jerry, it's not a contest. It's not a race. Just enjoy doing what you're doing. Let's see. So Yasser says, hey, huge thanks to you guys all the way from Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
the amount of information getting from such great people like you is amazing. Well, that's why we do what we do. I think I can speak for all of us saying that we run these channels and trying to help people, and we enjoy doing what we do. So And that's why I do these live streams, to kind of, talk to people and get different perspectives on things and kind of show what I know a little bit. I don't know everything. But I learn stuff just from everybody else, like everyone, like here.
This whole sort of 3D printing game is a learning curve, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you know everything, then you're wrong.
Yeah. So MMQ says, I have no social media, but I come to YouTube for all you guys and help appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you. And thank you for being on here, sir. Yeah. Rosdem says that Facebook is just toxic. It is. And there's some good groups out there. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, you get somebody who's new to painting and they try and put themselves out there and they go, hey, this is my first piece. And some dickhead comes up there and goes, oh, that sucks. That burns me up.
Yeah.
If you think you can do better, then get up there and do it. But still, don't be toxic like that and telling people that they suck or whatever. I mean, come on. That's one thing you're not going to get out of my Discord. Everybody on there helps each other out. We've got some amazing printers, amazing painters over there, and that's why I do the Discord, to help people out. I had some people on there this afternoon that just needed some help with some orientation and stuff, and everybody gets on and we start talking, and so you just try to help each other out.
Yeah, I had a message today from a guy that starting his own YouTube channel for 3D printing, and he asked me a ream of questions. I have no problem at all answering every single one of them because I think it's nice to be there for each other, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I get that quite a bit from some people who are there's a guy named Evan who's starting his YouTube channel and wants to know certain things about cameras and stuff like that. If you ask me, I'll help you. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't, then I'll try and point you in the right direction. So yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, well, here's Felicity. She says I guess it's a she. Says that's why I posted my first print. I want feedback, but no complete cruelty. Exactly. So if you're on there and you're wanting to get feedbacks, always specify that you're wanting feedback or constructive criticism or whatever, because some people will just blow your doors off, and those are the people you just don't need to listen to. You
really have to ignore them. You have to just draw that line and ignore them. Because
I don't know about you.
They just want to do that.
I don't know about you guys, but I get some commenters and stuff like that on some of my videos that just are brutal, and I'm just like, you know what? Yeah. I say, to you.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Foxtrot, Oscar.
Or you get a comment on, even if you post it on Facebook or Twitter, you get a comment. It's like, well, didn't you look at the picture? Didn't you watch the video? Didn't you read what it said? They're asking something that's already in the description or the title of the picture or video or, anyway.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to watch it. Give me all answers right now. Okay. Whatever.
I like the ones that watch my videos and go, look at his workstation. It's so messy. Or look at that. I don't give a monkeys. Get a life, guys.
Yeah. If you look at my workstation, it's messy as hell, but you know what?
It's working.
That's because I'm using it. I'm not, I'm not a desk princess or anything like that. I use it.
If you straighten it up, then everything is lost. You won't find anything.
Yeah. You said that earlier. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I'm like, where's this at? I can't find it because everything is clean. So I just kind of keep it the way I like it and just obtainable. Everything is within arm's reach and stuff. So absolutely. So
and people say, some earlier, Rodham Design said that Facebook is toxic. Yeah, it is quite toxic. But if you want to interact with any of the companies that you're buying products from, Facebook is the best place to do it. If you want to talk to other people that have the same product you do, Facebook is, I think, the best place to do it.
You can reach an awful lot of people on Facebook, but you've just got to accept the fact that a really small percentage of them are going to be idiots.
Yeah, you just got to kind of watch certain groups and everything, and just don't take everything personal or whatever. You just got some keyboard warriors out there that just like trying to ruin people's day or whatever. So
I've had people in that group a long time ago post pictures, and they go, "What do you think?" And I'm thinking, I'm being punked, ain't I? I'm being punked. I can't honestly answer what I'm seeing in front of me. So I'd be nice. But if you send me a message and you say, what do you think of this? I'm not publicly going to say a bad thing. But if you really want to know in a PM, I'll tell you what I really think in a PM. Yeah. But publicly, I'm not going to say, oh, that looks terrible. That looks like blah, blah, blah. But, but sometimes I've seen people post things and I think they intentionally post something that is a 0 from 1 to 10 just to see what people will say.
Yeah. Quinn says organized chaos is best. When it comes to workstations, yes, it is. So at least we can find our stuff. So Chuck says, what are times for Discord? Just join your Patreon. So if you join my Patreon, on the main screen, there's actually a link to join the Patreon. It's a link that doesn't expire, so you can join straight through there. But I'll message you, Chuck, on that. I'll send you a personal link. So Sergeant Digital Design. Oh, this is Beige Blends. So he changed his name to Sergeant Digital Design. Okay, cool. Good deal. Does some pretty good work. Awesome. All right. So we're coming up on an hour and 45 minutes exactly. Well, time flies when you're having fun and answering questions, right?
Time to get this. This should be ready to peel off, I think.
Yeah, let's try it and see what happens.
So what's it been on now? It's been on about half an hour?
It's been on about at least about half an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it dries like. So it's dried pretty clear. It's not completely clear, but it's about as good as we're going to get it in here. It's pretty darn cold in here. And it should just, in theory, bear with, let me start it off. I like the start off bit. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
Voila.
Okay. Yeah.
That is completely off. There you go.
So there's no residue or anything like that?
No, completely gone. And
awesome.
So that was 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So if you left it an hour, you're guaranteed it's going to come off. But that's the secret. Get it off really, really quickly.
Cool deal. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll try it again one day. Just not yet.
Not soon. I used it on Thanos. No, I used it on Thanos on his face to protect it when I did the helmet, and worked really well. I did it on this one. I did that model, and I did the face first on that.
I really like that one. Those soft tones on that one really come out really good.
Really lovely. But I left it on for about 24 hours, and oh god, it took me ages getting it off. But there's still little bits in the edges. But this was just a test piece to do the skin tone. So
who did that sculpt?
I got this one off. I think this was off Printables, and it was a free file. It's by somebody called. Oh no, it doesn't say on the back. I can't remember. It's in the link in the description, but it's a free file. It's just downloadable free file.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah,
really nice, isn't it? For a freebie. Yeah,
not bad at all. I love the good bust that just you can get some really good warm tones, soft tones, and stuff like that, especially with a female sculpt.
Yeah, I like doing skin and faces, and it's just something when it goes right, it goes really right. When it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. But that one came out right.
Awesome. Mondo just says, just ignore the keyboard people, the keyboard cowboys. Mommy doesn't let them out of the basement often. Sit in your room and play your Xbox and shut up like a good boy. Oh man. All right. Well, hour and 47 minutes. It is almost 9 o'clock here, and
it's 10 to 3 here.
10
in the morning.
3. Oh my gosh.
I need my sleep.
Oh jeez. All right, bud. I hope we can help you out or point you in the right direction, man. I've never seen anything like that, and maybe chat with some of the groups and see if anybody has any type of leads on it. The only thing I could think of is flash drive firmware. I mean, that's very strange to get that on every single print. So,
process of elimination, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. It's just trying to new things and seeing if you could find out what else what the problem is. All right, guys. Jerry, Tony, let's hear about your channels here before we go for the evening.
Well, I'm Jerry with 3DHP, and every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific, I have a live maker hangout where up to 10 people at a time can be on screen. I have different makers from around the world that come in. I'm live on YouTube and Twitch. You're welcome to join in and chat. And a lot of people that are in chat, if I recognize the name, I'll bring them in on camera, and they can chit-chat, show off what they want, plug themselves. I have no problem with that, and that's every Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then I have a group, 3D Printing and Painting, on YouTube or on Facebook. And then anyway,
Yeah. So definitely go check out Jerry, and don't forget Tony at Greedy 3D.
Yeah, so
Tony?
we're everything print, everything paint. I'll do all sorts of bits and pieces. I like to learn as I go through. I make mistakes. I am only human, but that's the whole game, and it's a fun game. So come along. It's Greedy 3D.
I want to show you, Tony.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Always helps. Every subscriber
Yeah.
helps. And have a look at the Patreon if you're interested in that sort of
Tony,
thing.
look.
Hey, look at that syringe. I've named
You
mine.
did a video on one of these. Like, you know
Yeah.
what? That's a good idea. So I went and bought one off Amazon.
Well, I've
That
been a
is a-
paramedic for years and worked with syringes, but I never
What is that
used
thing
it.
like? A 2-liter? I mean, that's a huge syringe.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I could
Where
live
it
in
came in handy the other day is when you're doing a big print or on a resin printer, you think you're going to run it overnight, you'll dump a lot more resin in it. And since the build plate is already up in the air, you can fill that vat almost all the way full if you need to, because it's not going to run out. But if the
Right.
print gets done and now you have too much resin in there, you can either take out the vat and try to dump it straight in the bottle, or just grab this and suck some of it back out, put it in the bottle, and you're good to go for the next print.
I
So
love
this
my
is already
syringe.
came in very handy. So
See, there you go. I mean, you learned something, right?
came in
I didn't know
very
about the syringe thing until I saw Tony's video. I was like, I need to try that because, yeah, I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
Or you try to scoop it out and you make a mess. But yeah, this
Oh,
works really
geez,
good.
I've done that
Then just-
before.
Put it in IPA, clean it out really good, and you're good to go. It's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, work smart, not hard, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So, absolutely, guys. So, thank you guys for being on. Thank you guys
Thanks for having us, Henry. Thank you.
thank you guys in the comments for spending tonight with us and everything like that. Go check out Greedy 3D, 3DHP, guys. Some great information over there on those channels. These guys are knocking it out of the park, putting out some really good content. I can speak honestly for these guys that if you have any questions, contact them directly or contact me. We'll get to you and everything.
Do you want to drop something really quick on screen? Somebody's asked, I think it's Bud. He's asking about a link to this right here.
Sure. You got it posted.
It's in private chat. If you want to copy that, you can drop it in comments since I can't comment.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let me see.
Because whenever we're guests, we can't comment. We can only throw things in private chat. That's an affiliate link to Amazon to the squeegee right here in the U.S. if you're interested.
All right, let's go back here to. My computer's being slow. There we go. So there's the link right there.
Thank you.
So yeah, check out that if you're interested in the whole syringe thingy, Madoodle.
Yeah, I've got a video just on Cyril the syringe, so have a look at that.
Yeah.
And if you watch Tony's video, he probably has an affiliate link. You can click underneath his video and buy it that way also.
Yeah.
But you're in the UK though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for being on board and everything. Thank you guys for being in the chat. And we hope to see you next live stream. And, get out, create something, stay safe, print, prep, paint, repeat. And until the next video, until the next live stream, guys, thank you so much.
Take care.
And we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night, everyone.
See you later.